many trucks through the neighborhood is normal. I thought literally the smokestacks of the petroleum refinery, near where I grew up and all of the industry around was normal. And so, and I saw the cost of it from, the public health cost of it and not even having universal health care and so much more. And we're still struggling now, even with the fires in Canada. We're seeing in Detroit this direct impact of, again, children not being able to play outside. And again, I'm just here because I don't want us to normalize. And I feel like I'm actually very scared that it's becoming normalized, that we're having fires, that we see these, again, direct impact on public health, like just looking at it as a stat and not realizing how devastating it is and how painful it is to, again, allow the fossil fuel industry to continue to profit off of extraction and off of, burning our earth. So on the inside, it is definitely bipartisan in that regard of who is standing up for fossil fuel. They're not saying it that way. It is very clear to me, and this rhetoric around the climate projects are, for national security is bullshit. They aren't about energy security. And we're seeing the demand for fossil fuels declining now and into the future. And so these projects are about making money for a small handful of people at the cost of the entire ecosystem and communities that will be sacrificed for that greed. What you're seeing now is the fossil fuel industry and lobbyists are now going around Congress. They're still focused in Congress, but they're going around Congress and trying to look for executive action, the dark room behind doors in the White House, drafting bills, drafting amendments, telling, hey, we can do this or that. Many of them are even trying to repeal some of the small, minute movement, which probably, is just not enough for communities like mine in the Inflation Reduction Act. And again, we have to move with the urgency. You all get it. But I just want you all to know they're going to the judiciary branch or they're going to the executive branch and going around Congress. They're going at all levels of trying to, again, push back on any sort of, halt in the trillions of dollars and these billions every year towards subsidies for the fossil fuel industry and so much more. I know this, and it needs to be very clear. And I tell my residents all the time, we still have time for President Biden to reverse course. He can revoke and deny presidential permits. He can announce a ban on new fossil fuel leasing. He can say, this is it. We're going to do fossil fuel phase out right now, starting today. And he can declare the climate emergency that we believe is very much, again, it's this. I mean, it's like, I think Adam says, you say, duh. It is very much something that I think the American people are with us on. But I think Grace Lee Boggs taught me in Detroit, and Grace Lee would sit in an audience of young people like myself and say, we did not get the Civil Rights Act or organizing unions in the workplace because of who was in Congress or who was in the White House. It was because the streets demanded it. And so I'm asking all of you to know, one, I know many of you, are focused on members of Congress. That's good, but let's also focus on reforms to the Supreme Court and judicial process, and let's focus on the White House and the Biden administration on these issues. I know we need leadership from the administration and Congress. I'm tired of the fossil fuel talking points and these trinkets of, well, we got this, we got that. Go back to your districts and talk about these things. That is not changing the quality of life of my residents. And so I'm not going to go back and gaslight them or say this is, this is what's going to actually, save our, be able to get us clean water, be able to get us clean air. And so I just want you all to know it is hard for me as a Democrat to see some of the things that the previously impeached president was pushing for now become a reality. We were able to stop these pipelines before, and I was very much, happy to see, at least some commitment before in regards to this. And now we're seeing conversations around debt ceiling has fucking nothing to do with the deficit or the debt ceiling conversation to be able to eject this fast tracking of fossil fuel projects that could not get through the House and the Senate. And they decided to go again directly to the executive branch and get that right. And so, again, we have to be much more aggressive in regards to fossil fuel expansions. It's already outpaced what the Trump administration was trying to do. You all know already, I know this is just, again, me speaking on behalf of my district. We are tired of being studied. We are tired of the task forces. We are tired of commissions. We're done. We're at this point where we're like, we get it. We know this is happening. But my residents are so they're underestimated, because they'll tell you, we can create jobs with this. So I don't get it, Rashida. Why aren't we moving? We can do amazing things and trying to, again, save our earth, our world in this regard. But again, for them, they feel just because they don't have those dollars that they are not going to get a voice through the White House and through the Senate and the House. But I can tell you this. What I saw was a miracle to even just have people starting to talk about climate when they're running for office or they're at various town halls. Not once do I go into any spaces that I'm not asked about the climate crisis. That is, and this is just me being totally frank and honest. Maybe it's not you all, but I saw this when President, I think it froze. When President Obama was elected, people kind of fell asleep. They're like, they got it. When Trump was in office, I mean, it was such a huge bullhorn that was consistent, and I felt it and it energized me. And I was like, yes, keep going, keep going. Like, I ain't making this up. This is happening in not only Appalachia, like it's happening all over our country. It's happening in communities that not only look like mine, but look like, again, folks that always think it's only brown and Black communities. Yes, we are definitely on the front line and always the number one target, but it's all over our country. I don't see that level of pushback that I did in the previous administration. And I really think that has hurt us a lot. And so I know, folks folks always are surprised with me saying that, but I'm just being frank and honest with people and saying that, of course, we didn't, I think we didn't expect it to be at this point where we see the person we thought was going to be the guard in the pushback on pipelines and now green lighting it to the point where I think it is going to be incredibly devastating. But we can still reverse course. We still can declare a climate emergency. We still have, I think, the organizing machines and the infrastructure out there to continue to do this. But again, I need us all to be loud and very clear, and not fighting among us. Environmental groups know this. There are more and more people that very much do not look at so-called endorsements or any of this. They look at the actual outcome, and what we're seeing with the fires, what we're seeing in communities like mine, where it just came out that we have one of the worst air qualities in the nation here in Detroit, where we already see lead poisoning among our children, infant mortality at high rate. I mean, you name it, we have the studies, we have the facts. It's just not moving fast enough. And, it's time to shame people. This is happening in the backyard of so many people, Margaret. Districts that, again, I just don't think that they're hearing enough from folks. I feel like I'm easy target, so people call me and I'm like, I'm on it. I'm good. Don't waste your energy and time on me. Go to the next person. But yeah, just continue to speak truth to power, y'all. If we don't get the policies we need, if our legislative process is failing us, the direct action gets the goods. I've seen it over and over again here in my backyard in Detroit, where we birthed movements over and over again. When they told us shutting off water of thousands of people in our community, we brought the United Nations in. We kept pushing when the city administration wouldn't recognize it. And we kept doing it until people understood that this was a huge crisis in our community, and it was impacting not only Detroit, but around the country. And so, we're not going anywhere, y'all. Again, we have such an incredible movement that I think is growing more and more. I think now, though, we got to use the bullhorn in a way that we did when the previous administration was in the White House. Thank you all so much. And again, I appreciate you all I didn't vote for that debt ceiling thing, but what I want you to know, it helped to get those emails from my constituents that said, don't do it because we can't have another pipeline. We can't continue to do this. And so I just really appreciate all of you. And again, know you have a partner and a fighter in the United States Congress, and I'm never going to sell out, and I'm never going to waver, no matter what name calling they send my way. Thank you so much.
Hell yes.